Hey there, it's Lauren. I thought I'd show you one more thing before I called it quits because this has been a fun day. And I'm going to show you how I make some seed starting mix. I have 3 ingredients. Coconut coir. Basically comes in a brick like this. It might come loose, but typically it comes in a brick like this. It's pressed coconut husk that's formed from within the coconut itself, right? Not the outside layer, but the husk on the inside layer, not the seed, which you eat as coconut meat. The husk that comes in between the seed and the outer layer. So this is pressed brick of coconut coir. I have one in here already. It's some rainwater, and I'm gonna put another one in here. And you're gonna see how this expands so quickly. So the second ingredient that I use is vermiculite, and I like a really fine vermiculite. You can see it blowing away, that's how fine it is. You'll recognize this in your standard potting mix at the store, but it's just a little chunkier. The third ingredient that I like to use is compost. Now, seedlings, when they're getting started from seed, don't need any kind of nutrients. Really, they just need a medium in which they can nestle their seedy self inside so that they can use the power of what's inside the seed coat, their lunch, in their lunch box, to power up that seedling that knows what to do once the environment is just right. And that's usually a warm environment and a moist environment. So yeah, compost has some nutrients in it. But I like it because it's pretty friable, right? That means it's soft, it's airy. I'm not going to use a lot of this compost. I get mine from my city. I'm going to use much more of this coconut coir, as you see, which has expanded a little bit. All right, I'm going to let this do its thing. And of course, some water, which is already in here. And I'll turn this video back on again once this is fully expanded, and maybe it will have stopped raining again. I'm back, and it's sunny again. And look at this. This coconut coir has absorbed all that excess water that was in this bin and turned into something that's much more, again, friable. It's kind of loamy, right? Which means it's porous, it's light, it's fluffy. There's still some chunks in here, but for the most part, these 2 bricks of coconut coir with water added have turned into a really nice, sterile medium. Clean. All right, so the next thing that I need to do is take some of this, mix it up with some of this, and some of this, like I described. I don't have a particular ratio. I just go by the feel. So I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna shove some over here on the side. All materials get used, so I've only got one bit. Yeah, I can use this bit. No. I've only got one bit. So I'm gonna shove this over to the side. Bring a little into this area. Well, a lot, like half, a third, a quarter of it, like this. First, I'm gonna add the vermiculite, like that. Taking my hands, I'm just gonna mix it in with the coconut coir. This starts to look a little like the potting mix, right? The reason why I had a lot of water in here wasn't just so that the coconut coir block would absorb it and then break apart, but it's also because I want this mix to be a little bit damp. I need to be able to squeeze it so it holds together. So right now you can see that there's water coming out. That's a little too wet, but I still have to add a little bit of this compost. So here's my compost, and like I said, I'm not going to use a lot. Just putting a little bit in there. I'm taking my little excess sticks out, any big chunks, and I'm going to mix it in here. This is not a science. This is just you know, gardening by feel and feeling your soil, whatever medium that you're putting together, whatever soil you're examining, gardening by feel is actually a technique. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in another video. I'm still learning that myself. So I'm going to take a little bit more of this compost, maybe the same amount again. If I was to guess what kind of ratio I have here, I would say it would be, I have a total of 10 parts. I have about 2 parts compost, 3 parts vermiculite, and 5 parts coconut coir. And I may need to put a little bit more vermiculite in here to make that absolutely true. So let's do that. Whoa, 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 whoa. So yeah, maybe a guess as far as ratios would be 5 parts coconut coir, 3 parts vermiculite, and 2 parts compost or whatever other, you know, potting soil you might want to use. And you don't have to use compost. You could use a seedling mix, right? Those are formulated by certain companies. I think Black Gold has a good one that's organic. I used to use that. But this for me is much more inexpensive. So I still have some water in there. When I squeeze it, it holds together in a block like this. This is what I want because I'm going to do the same thing when I use my soil blocker. This is a tool that allows me to not use any container, no plastic, no peat moss cups, no paper cups, no plastic cups, in order to create the medium that the seeds are going to be put in. This has dimples in the top of each square block, which will press a hole into the block and squeeze out the soil when it's in here. And I'll demonstrate what that looks like. This is a lot of fun. If you have any children and you want to get one of these, they will be your soil blockers for you. I will guarantee it. So yeah, the consistency of this is a little bit like oatmeal, maybe not as mushy. You can see I can squeeze some water out of my hands. And when I'm done squeezing that water out of my hands, the soil is holding together its shape. All right, let's go up behind me on this seed starting table, seed everything table, and I'll show you how I use the soil blocker.